21 all-time wins. That's the second most in school history. They've got a couple of players out, including one of their best scorers, Javaris Jenkins, out sick and not expected to play today. Sadiq Muhammad is their leading scorer at about 9 points per game. Bruce Weber, of course, in his third season for Kansas State, 36-3 at home in 2+ seasons here at Bramlage Coliseum. Let's look at Kansas State's starting lineup, brought to you by Pepsi this evening. The Wildcats with Javon Thomas, Marcus Foster, and Justin Edwards on the perimeter, and inside with seniors Nino Williams and Thomas Gibson. Let's take a look.
It was cold in Bramlage last game, and Savannah State has been here and done that.
And Savannah State, though, scored just 39 on Monday in a road loss at Miami, 70-39, as Angel Rodriguez had 17 in that game for the Hurricanes. So underway, alley-oop! Hello, Justin Edwards!
Great call to start the ball game against a man-to-man defense, and getting Justin Edwards' confidence offensively may be the biggest factor, because here's a guy that scored 16+ points a game as both a freshman and a sophomore when he was at Maine, and yet he's not gotten into the rhythm of playing for Kansas State yet. Getting him off to a start with a dunk like that's nice.
He used all of his 45-inch vertical to go up and get that one. Can't wait to see the replay as K-State settles in on defense and 7 on the shot clock. Pinkett loses the handle. And Thomas with the steal. Thomas has it taken away by Muhammad. Tigers in transition. No. Thomas ties it up, and the loose ball will stay at this end. Here it is. Air Canada.
Start from the half-court line and take it straight down the right lane line. K-State cleared out all to the left. Nice pass by Marcus Foster, patiently delivering the alley-oop. Nice slam to start the ball game out. But what you've seen so far from Savannah State is a basketball team that doesn't have a lot of height. They're basically all the same size, but they want to play good defense. They want to scramble around, create turnovers. And there, while we were watching the replay, it was a foul, and getting to the foul line is number 4, Sadiq Muhammad, as you said, leading scorer for the ball club.
At 9.1 points a game, he's a sophomore out of Savannah. 10 of the 15 players on the roster are from the state of Georgia. And the Tigers at 3-7 on the year. Their wins all at home. They're 3-0 at home, 0-7 on the road. Winthrop, Cleveland State, and Middle Georgia are their victories on the season.
They're in a tough stretch right now when you go on the road to Indiana, Miami, and then K-State.
Thomas couldn't handle the pass from Foster, and boy, those are the things right there that will drive a coach crazy, and Bruce Weber wants and needs to get those cleaned up, as K-State, as I mentioned, just 20 days away from the start of conference play.
Well, those are those first half turnovers that the Wildcats have struggled with, and the last time the Wildcats played on the road at Tennessee, they had 22 turnovers in the game, which really was the difference in being unable to come back and beat Tennessee on the road with a 1-point loss.
Nice drive by Terrell Hall, a senior. And the Tigers take the lead by 1. Back pick from Nino Williams. And now an illegal screen called inside.
Thomas Gibson's been getting into foul trouble since the Wildcats took a trip to Maui. He has had early game foul problems. And oftentimes away from the ball where he's not playing defense. That time just trying to post up. He gets called for the foul, and he goes to the bench. And this is the earliest we've seen Brandon Bolden inserted in the game at any time this year.
Well, one of your keys was interior defense, and certainly that would fall into the category of Brandon Bolden, as Edwards, I believe, gets the rejection there. Roletter into the fray as well for Kansas State. Edwards, nobody picks him up to the left hand. They're going to call a charge, but count the bucket. So Edwards with the first 4 on 2 athletic plays for Kansas State.
We're seeing him involved. And looked like he was going in his upward motion before the defender, Jamal Norman, got there, but he does get the charge call. We saw a block at the other end, so Justin Edwards a big part of the early action.
K-State, Stan, undoubtedly they're going to need some production from Edwards and Wesley Owandu at that 3 spot. For Justin, he had 26 in his first 2 games, but only 25 in the last 7. So that's certainly a focal point offensively, is that small forward position.
Well, it definitely is.
K-State on the break after the steal. Nino Williams with the strong finish.
Good speed by Nino and finishes. The defender got his hand on the basketball. K-State jumps into their full court pressure and forces a timeout from head coach Forrest Blotcher. How about Brian Roletter? Same thing. This is only the 6th game that Roletter's gotten into at all. And you can see Bruce Weber sending a message. You better come ready to play in the first half. You can't have bad turnovers, or we're going to start rotating guys in and give them a chance.
Roletter picks up Hall. Hall trying to beat him off the dribble. Edwards, good weak side defense as Muhammad couldn't handle the interior pass. K-State swings it over to Foster. Short on the 3 and rebounded by the Tigers.
I think it may be the first time this year in normal action and not in a blowout situation that Nigel Johnson or Javon Thomas are on the floor.
Yeah, we've seen them play both out there a lot, especially early on in the season. But Roletter getting the quick call after Thomas had a couple of early turnovers and got beat off the dribble for a lay-in.
Savannah State uses some full court and half court pressures. See how Roletter helps handle that.
Bolden flashing open. Nice pass to Williams and has it roll out. Nino almost always finishes, but a bit off balance that time.
I think he didn't recognize how quickly that play developed. Just perfectly done. Bolden got the pass to him, and I think he got his feet set. Forced him to be off balance and miss a little shot.
Nice look, though, by Brandon Bolden. Roletter does it again.
Well, his brother Kevin was a football player, so he's learned to take some hits. Because it's his older brother. And you know the younger brother was run over plenty of times without foul calls.
That's nothing right there.
From Wichita Bishop Carroll High School, walked on to the Kansas State basketball program, and really a big opportunity here early in the game to get in.
Malik Harris, the freshman, in for Nino Williams before the 16 and under timeout.
Could have taken a bet with you, Ben, on this lineup. You wouldn't see it any time in the game, and especially in the first 5 minutes of the game.
Edwards gets stopped on the interior dribble. Foster throws it up for Brandon Bolden. Roletter comes up with it, 10 to shoot. Let's go! Edwards is stuck. Foster falling out of bounds, just missed the 3-pointer. Good defense that trip by the Tigers.
Yeah, they had to stop a couple of moves. And even to the last second, they were in good defensive position. That would be their strength. Quickness.
Pinkett, another charging foul. And Roletter did it again. The hat trick in the first 4 minutes. Drawing 3 charges in a span of about 2 minutes, and he stays in there out of the break for Bruce Weber to run the point.
Yeah, he definitely earned some more playing time with 3 charges taken before the first media timeout.
Good D by Hall to take away the jumper from Foster. Foster, now to Owandu. Wesley on the drive, and we'll go the other way. Charging foul on Wesley Owandu. His first.
It's good to see Wesley Owandu be aggressive to the basket. But you got to be smart enough after watching early action today with the number of charges taken. You've got to know you need to stop. And from 8 feet with the length that he has would be a nice shot off the backboard from that left angle. Got to know when to pull up and not charge and run over people.
DJ Bryant against Foster, now in the corner to Fenner. Brandon Bolden, that's what K-State needs, is a rim protector inside, and boy, Bruce Weber would love nothing better than to see a big game out of Brandon Bolden.
And Brandon getting an early opportunity, and that's exactly what you want. Is don't get the physical contact, just block the basketball, and he did by blocking it into the court of play. Very smart. Watch the technique by Brandon Bolden. He's on the help side defense, just jumps straight up, keeps the ball in action, and uses his height. Patient. That's textbook right there, guarding the front of the rim.
Malik Harris, freshman, misses the first free throw. Javon Thomas, Nigel Johnson will check in now for Roletter and Foster.
Point guards check in together. Like you said, they've played at times together.
Harris gets 1 of 2, averaging 1.9 and 1.7 on the season. And here's Nigel Johnson in the backcourt as K-State picks up Maine.
Tough guards for the Cats' big guys, because all of Savannah State players can scoot around and play almost any position. Sometimes they'll be guarding smaller players. Hard angle pass there. The call foul.
Yep, Fenner threw it away. The bump from behind. This is on Wes, his second, so Justin Edwards will head back in.
Wesley Awandu not on the court very long before he picks up his second foul.
Nice backdoor cut. Good interior pass, and K-State commits the foul. This will be on Justin Edwards. His second. So both small forwards with 2 fouls.
You can play Marcus Foster with Nigel Johnson and Javon Thomas if you'd like.
And that's what Bruce Weber will do, as Brian Pearson misses the first free throw.
Especially in a game against Savannah State, who's going to have smaller, quicker players on the court throughout their lineup.
Harris the rebound off the miss. Here comes K-State up by 4.
And you can see Pearson's not a confident free throw shooter. He makes less than 50%.
Harris flashes open. Nice drop step, but couldn't finish. Bolden fighting for the rebound, and the tie-up will keep it at this end with K-State.
We've seen flashes already this year from Malik Harris. Doing a nice job there. A great move, and then somehow misses it off the backboard. K-State fortunate enough to get the tie-up and the arrow.
Foster off the curl. Fenner there with a good defense. Johnson bounced into the corner for Javon. Lines up and hits from 3. That's his 5th 3 of the season, and Stanley's 5 of 12.
Made only 2 last year, and he's just so much more comfortable in that shot.
Bump on Johnson now. You look at Javon's shooting percentages, all of them have basically doubled from last year.
When you drive along the baseline, a lot of times you pass the ball to the opposite corner. The defense is going to rotate. They're worried about you driving. It's the spot that's open. Every school has that in their repertoire. You just got to be able to make that shot. And like you said, Thomas looking completely different shooting that shot this year.
He came into today 49% overall, 36 from 3, and 68% from the free throw line, basically doubling what his averages were a year ago as a freshman.
And almost 1/3 of his shots are three-pointers this year. Shows you that he's confident taking that shot. But he hasn't forced them. He's taken them when he has been passed to.
Nice feed, Brandon Bolden over the top from Javon Thomas.
Brandon Bolden's made a couple of nice moves to the basket. That time gets the delivery.
Good help side defense, but a foul committed by Javon Thomas. Hall has had success on that drive right down the middle.
See Brandon cut to the basket. It's the second time he's done it. This time the ball gets there. Earlier, Marcus Foster threw too soft a pass. The defender got his hand on it. This time, nice read. Bolden right up by the rim using his left hand. That's the offensive confidence and aggressiveness we're talking about. Bolden could have stood there and watched that play unfold. Instead, he created with confidence that I can go to the basket and get the basketball and score. And he made the rotation of the defense pay.
Tigers doing most of their damage from the foul line. Just one field goal so far for the Tigers. Now 7+ minutes deep from Bramlage. Johnson gets hacked going up, and Nigel will head to the foul line to shoot 2.
See how that ball was entered inside. K-State needs to do more of that. Bruce Weber talked about it specifically with Thomas Gibson inside, but there was a nice pass into Malik Harris on the low block. What did he do? Just turn it through right back outside immediately to not a great scoring situation. That's where I think the K-State bigs need to value the basketball and say, we want it in there. I'm a guy who can go score the ball. Until proven otherwise. You start making your move, double comes, you get rid of the basketball. But Malik never even looked at the basket. I think Bruce Weber would like to see the inside guys more aggressive, like we saw early in the ball game with Brandon Bolden.
Johnson, 68% free throw shooter on the season, makes them both. Nino Williams returns, replacing Brandon Bolden, so K-State will go with the small lineup with Williams and Malik Harris at the 4 and 5 spots.
Cats played 10 players already in this game.
Stephen Hurt, we do not expect to see Stephen Hurt again. And a 3 from the corner is good. DJ Bryant, a 25% three-point shooter on the season, buries one from the corner. He had a season-high 14 in the loss on Monday at Miami, so he comes in with some confidence. And the Tigers are within 5. Thomas to the left hand, tipped out. Fenner trying to run it down and just can't get there in time. That'll send us to a break. Wildcats does have 2 assists in the first half.
He has stretches where he doesn't seem like he's scoring the basketball. Then you look up and he's in double digits again, usually with a flurry. He's done a nice job on a lot of things, but the one that you haven't done is keep Savannah State off the foul line. That's why they only lead by 5 right now.
Into Harris, interior pass, Nino rolls it home.
Now see, there was an aggressive move by Malik Harris. He was going to score the basketball until he saw a better option, which was right at the rim. That was perfect.
Make it 6 field goals and 6 assists now as K-State extends to a 7-point advantage. Rollletter back in there. Fenner with the runner against Marcus Foster. Alante Fenner, sophomore from Lake Wells, Florida. He had a season-high 16 in their overtime win over Cleveland State earlier this year.
He comes off the bench, plays about 23 minutes a game. Had 7 starts last year.
Williams got it blocked, and a whistle and a foul. Jamal Norman, freshman out of Savannah, picks up his first.
Muhammad got the block. That's not where the call was. It was on the physical contact and a push by Jamal Norman. He didn't realize that Muhammad was going to come over and get a clean block, so Nino Williams gets to go to the free throw line.
Stan, K-State's had all these nagging injuries. Malik Harris, Wesley Awundu, now Stephen Hurt, and others. And, of course, Nino Williams missed the first couple of games with a knee injury, but he hadn't shown any rust like some of the others. He has had a great start to his senior season. Bruce Weber told us before the season started about what a good summer Nino had, and it certainly carried over to his senior season.
He really had that senior mentality. This is my year. I've got to play great, and that's the way he worked. Improved his shot, worked on the weightlifting, and you're right, he had the rust for about a half a game at Long Beach State, and then all of a sudden he turned into his normal self and an improved version. I think we've seen Nino Williams play better this year than he did at any time earlier in his career, other than maybe that one game against OSU. He likes playing against OSU, and sometimes they put together a pretty good performance, but he hasn't played to this level, and that's what they were hoping in the offseason, that he would step it up his senior year.
Well, he's got 6 already in the first half. Maybe he likes playing against the color orange for sure, but last year as a junior, 6.2 points a game. Already almost 12 a game this season.
Had a double-double against Bradley. He only had one other one in his whole career.
Fenner off the drive. Good recovery by Foster, who initially gave up the penetration. Foster, step back three, rims out. Good rebound inside by Jamal Norman. Here comes the Tigers. Fenner looking for a place to drive, but Williams had it measured. Now into the corner and knocked out of bounds by Roletter.
Roletter putting a defensive clinic together. We can just roll tape and see him take charges. The coaching staff loves it. There he's in the offside angle, away from his player, but at an angle where when the pass came, he could get his hand on it to knock it away.
Brandon Bolden will check in at the next dead ball. Fenner with 10 to shoot. Now Norman. Off the bounce and into the corner. Fenner lets a three fly. That's well short and rebounded by Javon.
That's something you said fairly often this year. Javon's done a nice job rebounding the basketball.
Quick to the ball. And inside, clearing out is Malik Harris. He picks up his first foul.
Javon has good timing. Nice vertical on the defensive rebounds. He's not even looking to rebound on the offensive end because he's got to get back as a point guard, yet he's averaging 3.6 rebounds a game this year.
You know, Javon's, he's had his struggles with turnovers, but for the most part, I think he's been a bright spot with his play, certainly his shooting. And
free throw shooting way improved. Yeah. The three-point shooting we talked about was non-existent last year. I think he has improved, and in fact, when you look at Kansas State, if they're disappointed having a 5-4 record, and I think they are right now, I don't think you'd be disappointed with how the point guards have played. Both he and Nigel have done a good job of taking it from their level of play last year a step forward. They're not a finished product yet, but they've done a pretty good job.
Francis sets his feet. Bolden up high for the rebound.
K-State needs the full effect of a guy like Wesley Awandu, get completely healthy. Thomas Gibson to stay out of foul trouble.
Thomas off the bounce. Left short, long rebound to Francis. That starts a break. Wing three, no good. And Javon tracks it down in the corner.
They're bringing up Javon, his decision making, and then he goes and shoots a shot that they weren't happy with.
Roletter. Now gets called for the charge. So Bryan will pick up his first, and Nigel Johnson will come back in to replace Javon Thomas. And really, when you think about Javon Thomas, I mean, you almost have to look at him as a freshman again. Last year, not able to practice that entire first semester. Came out that first game, first conference game against Oklahoma State, and gave K-State such a lift energy-wise and defensively. But, well, he was so far behind with what they were trying to do, especially offensively, that his minutes just became so limited. And it was really a lost year, unfortunately, for him.
Yeah, if you call basketball a two-semester sport, which the coaches in the game often talk about that, how the type of span that you cover, he's only in his second semester because at this point last year, unable to even practice with the basketball team. And he started out on fire, energetic, using his speed, not worrying about what he didn't know. And all of a sudden he realized how much he didn't know, and it became hard. Critical situations, you're already a Big 12 conference player. Everyone's used to the second and third, fourth option on certain plays and offensive sets, and then they yell it out, and he's looking over going, well, I'm not sure what that means. You can't really run your sets without all five knowing exactly what's going on. In football, you can have the backside receiver. Maybe it doesn't matter. But in basketball, all five better know exactly where to go and why. And they ran into that problem often last year.
Nino Williams with 8 of 20 for K-State. 8 minutes to play first half, and the lead at 9. Bolden slaps it away.
This is encouraging for K-State because we've seen the minutes really dwindle for Brandon Bolden, averaging 3.4 minutes a game. He's played more than that today.
Well, granted, the opponent's Savannah State, and they don't have a whole lot of size, and Bolden is going to play well, but K-State needs to find a way to get bigger. Gibson and Nino Williams are the established starters in there, but with DJ Johnson out, as K-State draws another charge, with DJ Johnson out, they've got to have Bolden come in and at least be a guy who can give them, 5 to 7, 8 minutes a game?
Yeah, and they need to be quality minutes. Here's an example. C21, Bolden behind. He actually wrapped around by Bruce Weber on the out-of-bounds side of guarding. Now, that's the mistake he can't make. Why would he, at that size, get behind the play? He was helped out that Nino Williams rotated over. But that's the decision-making that he needs to be solid on the defensive end. Remember how he blocked right in front of the rim? That's where they want it.
Good idea. Poor execution there as K-State turns it over. For the Wildcats, their 7th turnover the first half. Good defense, and Roletter comes up with the block. Foster. Bolden saves it out to Nigel Johnson. And some sloppy play now, and K-State picks up a foul as the Tigers hustled into the front court. Timeout.
A shot blocker in the middle makes the difference.
K-State up by 9. This matches their largest lead of the game. Norman, a 39% free throw shooter, but looks good on that one as he has his first point of the afternoon.
That's a reverse jinx right there.
Yeah, exactly. As a team, Savannah State only shoots 54% on the season from the free throw line. That looked more like a 39% free throw shooter.
Right. Now, as good as they are driving the basketball, and that's their style, they don't have a lot of size on the inside. They get to the free throw line fairly often, but they really haven't been able to convert, hitting only 54% of their free throws this year.
Marcus Foster still searching for his first points of the ball game.
Zone defense now.
Nice cut by Nino Williams. A little too strong on the 10-footer.
Twice done a nice job against the zone, getting the ball to Nino Williams, and he was unable to convert. Remember the baseline shot he had that looked like a pretty easy one there, right in front of the rim. 4 points he'll be thinking about tonight after the game.
Finner backs it out with 10 on the shot clock. Looks for a high screen. That dumped into Muhammad. And with 2 on the shot clock, he gets it in off the window. Sadiq Muhammad, the leading scorer, has his first 2.
Very calm there. Didn't get hurried even though the ball was rolling around on the floor, and put a nice shot up right over the big trees.
Johnson in rhythm. Left it short. Bolden up high but couldn't bring it down.
They've not matched up yet.
Both teams 1 of 5 from beyond the arc. As Finner probes, nowhere to go.
And Savannah State pulled back within 6 with the basketball. State not completely out of that offensive funk yet.
Finner rims it out as Javon Thomas flew out at him with a hand in his face.
Will Marcus Foster heat up?
There he is in the corner. Bang. On cue from Stan Weber. Foster with his first bucket.
There's the experience of Nino Williams knowing where to get the basketball. Just a quick touch pass to the corner against that zone defense.
32 triples already, and just the 10th game of the season for Marcus Foster.
And his percentage has been very high, hitting 48% of his 3 balls.
Stan, let me ask you this. Is Marcus Foster shooting, as an answer at the other end, is Marcus shooting too many threes? You look at his numbers, 64 of 102. So he's got to round out his game as well.
Yeah, and he played that way last year. So it's not asking, you're not asking a 3-point marksman to do other things. You're talking about a guy who's done a nice job of shooting a high percentage of threes, but really is more natural at the mid-range game.
Johnson trying to make something happen, and the quickness to the Tigers knocked it out of bounds. K-State will have 16 on the shot clock.
You go to recent history, K-State's all-time leading scorer, Jacob Pullen. He took the ball to the rim often, yet he was a threat outside, but he knew when to press it in there, and where did he end up all the time? At the free throw line. And Marcus can hang, take the heat, and still get good shots up.
Another deflection will send us to a timeout.
Putting their statistics together and combining them is the right way to do it. They're a bright spot here early in the season, and I think they each should play the point guard position. There'll be times where they're both on the court. You get some extra speed. And if they continue to score a little bit better, then they can spell Marcus Foster for a little while. But overall, I don't think that that's where you're going to lean in Big 12 Conference play, is putting both those guys on the court a lot together. But they can play 20 minutes each to start each night. If one is a little more hot or another gets in foul trouble, you can change the minutes and end up with the combined stats, quality point guard play all game long. You got speed on the defensive end and pushing the basketball. If they can both make their free throws, hit some three-point shots, and don't turn over the basketball. That will be the big thing. And they're both moving in that direction. I think that they are playing up to expectation this year.
1 of 2 for Javon. 4 points, 4 rebounds, and an assist in this first half. State, though, really unable to pull away. They pushed that lead to 9, but a couple of three-pointers from the Tigers have them back within striking distance.
And you can't forget, Ben, Thomas Gibson, the guy that had the biggest advantage, an experienced big man, has 2 fouls and played only 2 minutes. So you want to ask where one of the problems is for the Wildcats? Right there. Your veteran who could go score hasn't been able to play. And there's another example of good drive, no rotation on the defense by the Wildcats, and an easy score for Savannah State.
Terrell Hall's been able to get to the rim a couple of times, and he has 7 in the first half. Thomas kicked out to Rollletter, turns down the jumper for the drive and the lay-in. Nice move by Brian Rollletter, showing us what he can do at both ends today.
Another clinic play. Not in a hurry. Little pump fake. Drove the basketball with confidence to the rim and said, oh, wait a second, you just giving me a layup.
Golden gets called for the foul and count the bucket.
Well, there's another example where here's Rollletter, pump fake, dribble, and, oh, hey, I'm at the rim, I'll just score it. Don't make it any more complicated than that. If someone would have faced up and stopped in on the drive, he would have stopped, and it'll make a nice pass. So good job by Rollletter, taking the ball to the basket. But on the defensive end, you see the block occurring from the side. Brandon Bowling needs to be straight in front of, make him shoot over you, less likely to have the shot made, more likely to block the shot, and almost no chance of getting a foul call. Instead, on the side, touch foul, and they're at the free throw line again.
Wildcats lead it by 5. See if they can get some separation here in the final 2.5 minutes. Nice passing into Nino Williams. Nino's in double figures with 10. Great work against the zone. Maybe the best possession of the game for Kansas State.
Blake Harris has done that all year long. Very comfortable making the big pass in the zone. Nino was ready this time for the catch. Late shot clock ball screen action.
K-State switches the screen. Now dumped into the big Muhammad, and he shuffles his feet.
Want to work the ball into the middle against the zone and watch Malik Harris know exactly where to go. Just a quick pass, barely touching his fingertips, yet accurate to Nino Williams, who is ready. Against the zone defense, you want to work along the baseline. There's a couple of ways to get it there. But into the middle of the defense and down low, big to big, is the best way.
8 different Cats have scored in the first half, led by Nino's 10.
Another double-digit game from Nino Williams. His 6th of the year.
Nigel with the pull-up from the free throw line. It came off flat. Break opportunity for the Tigers. And out of bounds to Savannah State.
The Wildcats saw the ball coming, but they were standing out of bounds. I think Nigel Johnson said, well, I can't grab the ball, so he let it fall. Credit Savannah State for continuing to fight down by 9 midway through the first half, and it's not allowed the lead to grow any, and has fought back.
Francis shuffled his feet.
So a tough mental attitude. It's one thing I think Horace Broadnax really brought to this program. Dedicated, 10 years coaching Savannah State. Learned a lot from John Thompson.
The Tigers a year ago, 13-19 overall. They did go 10-6 in the MEAC and got 5th place. They lost 8 seniors off of last year's team. So this is a young team for Horace Broadnax.
Well, they come off 2 straight years of winning seasons, including an NIT berth in 2012.
Good job by Williams to keep it alive. K-State can maybe get 2 for 1 here. Good defense in that zone. Nowhere to drive it. Johnson with the scoop. Got it to go. Nigel Johnson. A pretty looking finish right before the shot clock expired. First field goal of the game for Nigel to go along with a couple of free throws and a timeout by Horace Broadnax. As the Cats now at halftime, so stick around. And Marcus back into the lineup here with the shot clock turned off. They get it to Hall, their go-to guy. Is he going to get it off? We'll see. They're going to count it, but I bet they're going to look at this. As Hall with a nifty cross.
Half, and Thomas Gibson, who played only 2 minutes. The player has started every game this year, is back in the lineup.
Yeah, Justin Edwards with foul trouble as well. Played only 4 minutes, and Wesley Owandu played just 2 minutes off the bench. So there's 3 of your top scorers right there that hardly even played in the first half. Edwards rises for 3 and hits. Justin Edwards started the game with an alley-oop and begins the second half with a triple, and K-State has its biggest lead at 10.
It must be second half. Look how confident they were on that offensive set. That's exactly what you expect from Justin Edwards. Catch, you're open, shoot a shot.
K-State shooting 48% as a team in the second half from beyond the arc, and 52% overall. We'll see if that trend continues. Good defense. Gibson comes up with the rebound. Edwards into Gibson. Big Gip puts it on the floor and draws the foul.
You don't have to overcomplicate things. We saw here in the first 2 possessions that K-State has been able to catch, turn, shoot, and there Thomas Gibson pump fake. Sees he has a lane to drive into, and he is very good at getting to the foul line when he takes the ball in like that.
Senior from Cedar Hill, Texas. There are his numbers on the year. Thomas has been good from the free throw line, 80%. In fact, he's the top free throw shooter on the team for the guys that have attempted more than just a handful. Came into the game 45 of 56 from the stripe. And gets the second one. That's his first point of the ball game.
Not only the best percentage, the most makes and the most attempts of any Wildcat this year. Double-digit lead for K-State.
Tigers trying to run a weave here. No problem for K-State to defend.
Jamal Norman fortunate there. He didn't turn the basketball over. He likes taking it along the right lane line, but threw it backwards and didn't get it stolen.
Hall just has to throw up a prayer. Edwards right there pushes it up the floor for K-State. Edwards pretty feed, and then Williams wasn't ready for that pass from Thomas, and K-State turns it over.
Thomas Gibson fit the ball through there, but it's not a pass you practice. So it's not the receiver's fault on that one.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think Nino agreed too with the look on his face.
You want to crisp bounce pass or overhead pass, big to big, but reaching around someone with a chest pass isn't what they practice.
Jamal Norman misfires. Nino left open on the short corner. He has made a living there over his career.
Twice now, Marcus Foster has driven the ball into front court, made one good pass and turned into a basket.
4 assists on the game now for Marcus Foster. This has been the one play, the kind of the bread and butter for Savannah State. And more times than not, it's been Terrell Hall getting to the bucket this time, picking up the foul, but before the shot.
Hall, Norman, both using that right lane line.
Foul on Javon is his second. Tough angle there, and Sadiq Muhammad gets it to drop.
Took a little bit of contact there, surprised the Wildcats with that quick inbounds play right underneath, and Thomas Gibson almost got his third foul.
Gibson waiting on the baseline as Edwards fired it in there, and Gibson will head to the free throw line. Well, K-State has seen more teams play zone defense maybe than all of last season in the first 10 games. Virtually every team they've played this year
jump into a zone at some point. And usually what pulls them back out of the zone is Marcus Foster heats up and knocks down a few threes in a row. But that's not the only solution that you've got to have. Got to be able to make passes through the zone like we saw Justin Edwards do there. A nice pass inside.
Thomas just owned the paint in the first couple of ball games, but as Bruce Weber told us in your talk with him outside the locker room, teams have really limited his paint touches, but it's got to be a two-way street. Thomas has got to be more active in there, plus his teammates have got to look for him.
And then when he gets the basketball, we emphasize he's got to go score, be offensive. Don't always rotate the basketball to the other side of the court.
Foster off the bounce. That's 5.
That's that mid-range game I'm talking about.
Yep.
He can still shoot as many threes as he normally does, but add that back into your ball game as a core part. And Marcus Foster, it's not as if this team is screaming with a ton of 18-point scorers that need to touch the ball. It's okay if Marcus scores 25.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, no, you're not hogging the ball. You're just using the skills you have.
10 for Hall. He'll back it out and look for somewhere to drive on Javon Thomas. Forces his way in. Nino there with the weak side rebound.
Great defense by Thomas. Stay in front of the dribbler.
Hall with that quickness tipped it away from Javon from behind. Fenner stops and pops and hits. Alante Fenner and Horace Brodnax will get a timeout. We'll step aside.
Put on a trap out of the timeout.
Foster from NBA range. Edwards missed it twice. Williams missed it. And finally a whistle inside. You got to love the effort, though. K-State attacking the glass.
Was a nice job, Justin Edwards, and he can hang so long that he stayed up there and tried to shoot it after he got the basketball. He and Nino Williams worked at it, and finally Savannah State had a foul to stop the action at the rim.
Here's the alley-oop, and Edwards this time drops the hammer.
That is 2 today from different angles. Remember, he came from the top of the key around, and this time baseline side for another alley-oop.
Well, plays like this, Stan, have got to give Edwards some offensive confidence.
Yeah, good play call out of the timeout, snuck along the baseline. See, Thomas Gibson, he actually was setting a pick on the middle guy there. He acted like he was going across the lane, but he actually was just going to stop and not allow the big guy to turn and be able to tip the basketball away. Good pass. Another nice pass by a Wildcat, this time Nigel Johnson.
Edwards with 9. There's Pinkett up high, guarded by Foster. Fenner trying to drive on Edwards, and Edwards got him with the body. This will be 3 on Justin Edwards.
And that's the same angle the Cats have been getting beat on today. Almost always on the right side of the lane.
Edwards with the steal and off of Justin Edwards. That last touch might have been on Fenner there. Good reaction, though, by Edwards with the 3 fouls.
Savannah State is 0-7 on the road. On the road a lot to start the year, but I like their concentration. They just keep playing. Don't seem to be affected by any run K-State makes. Real credit to the head coach.
Good pass inside, and the finish for Brian Pearson, a junior from Monroe, Georgia, has his first 2.
He came from East Georgia State College last year, and nice catch and short shot in the middle of the lane.
And just back down at the other end, Gibson just manhandled and planted himself in the lane, and Pearson had no choice but to foul him. 4th team foul on Savannah State.
So Justin Edwards would have stopped. Could have had a 3-foot shot. Right in the middle of the lane.
Foster pitches it out to Nigel. Back to Marcus. His line drive jumper is good.
That was good offense. You see the guys probe, drive, when it wasn't there, stop and make a nice pass to a person who's open. And then ultimately that mid-range shot we talked about off the bounce. Right lane line drive.
And the finish for Alante Fenner.
Good recognition by Fenner. That's where they want to go. Zone defense again.
Edwards in the middle.
Dangerous pass and then a bad pass.
But K-State will keep it 20 on the shot clock and an 11-point lead for Bruce Weber.
Marcus Foster ending up at the top of that zone like a point guard. Got to be careful. It's an art reversing the basketball, making sure the defender doesn't touch it.
Edwards, good look out to Nigel, and he hits for 3. K-State doing a nice job of sharing the basketball, especially here in the second half.
Good catch and shoot. Nigel Johnson's taking the 2nd most 3-point shots of any Wildcat.
Good offense, though, again by the Tigers, and Pearson has back-to-back hoops. Gibson running the floor. Thomas Gibson, his first field goal of the game.
Foster has more assists in this game than he's had at any other game this year. Heads up, Thomas Gibson running down the middle, Foster getting him the basketball, but defensive rotation was one of our keys in the last possession. It wasn't there. Easy dribble penetration and dish. Too easy for Savannah State.
The assist total for Foster is 5. Good defense this time, although the Tigers come up with a loose ball.
Foster had a game last year where he had 10 assists in one game.
And Fenner, boy, that was too easy. Gets to the bucket with the shot clock running down.
Maybe 3 straight basic layups, you'd call it, in Savannah State's offense.
Edwards wide open, too strong. This is kind of that point in the game where Bruce Weber mentioned prior to the game with Bradley, where they built that 11-point lead, and then they didn't get a couple of stops, and then it became a game.
And they had to win on the last possession of the ball game, at least on the defensive end. As Bradley fought all the way back to within 3. And that's what I'm saying here about the Tigers. They're just playing. They're not worried about being down.
Front rim 3, Gibson gets away with the shove there. Daniela body block Francis on Nigel. Gets called at midcourt. Foul on Trey.
Has 2 fouls already.
So he's in for Justin Edwards. Officially a 1-2 with 2 minutes in that first half as Rollletter gets trapped off the sideline out of bounds play. Foster lost the, or I'm sorry, Malik Harris lost the handle, and then a tie-up will give it back to the Tigers.
Malik Harris, now the biggest guy for the Wildcats. Jump ball arrow to Savannah State. important to watch Wesley Iwundu play. It's not easy to sit on the bench for most of the game and get yourself warmed up, but K-State needs him to play back to the level he played last year. He was a confident freshman last year. Very good on defense. Helped on the board so much.
Nice feed from Fenner, and the tip is good. How about Pearson with 6 points, all in the last, 3-4 minutes? Hadn't scored up until that point. Pinkett strips Rollletter and beats Williams to the rim.
And the lead cut into again. Wesley Iwundu actually bringing the ball up. Remember, Nigel Johnson and Javon Thomas not on the floor. Which we're probably going to need to get one of them back in there with the pressure.
Harris had the position. The pass just a little bit off target, and he couldn't gather it in, and K-State will turn it over. 13th turnover for K-State. Brandon Bolden back in from Malik Harris. He had some good minutes in the first half.
Bunch of turnovers in a row for the Wildcats. Will Brandon Bolden be able to guard the rim and stop the penetration that's been effective for Savannah State in the last few minutes? He'll be there on the help defense.
Good help from Nino Williams that time, but a loose ball, and Pearson picks it up just like he's camped under the bucket, and every loose ball is going to him.
Magnetic hands here, grabbing it from the floor, and Wildcats for an easy layup.
Oh, and a near steal by Pinkett here, but he had to foul to do it.
Pinkett might have fouled, but the Wildcats weren't on the same page. John Thomas thought it was a handoff, and Marcus Foster, reading the defense, cut away and said, no, I'm not going to go to the handoff because the defender's going that way. Here you see these guys working together. It was a turnover if the arm wouldn't have been hit by Kalen Pinkett.
A 14-point lead, down to 6. This foul's on Terrell Hall.
And it's really without K-State taking any field goal attempts.
Cats will be in the 1-and-1 the rest of the way. And this will be Marcus Foster at the free throw line. Quiet night offensively, at least from a scoring standpoint for Marcus with 7, but a team-high 5 assists.
It might have ended an 8-0 run.
Yeah, I think it was, because it was 14-point lead at the 13-47 mark. Talking about the first half versus second half, that plays into Marcus Foster as well. He's averaging 9.2 of his 15.6 in the second half. And now Foster's called to the bump. Crowd doesn't like that one. Only the 4th team foul, though, on Kansas State. So the Tigers will have to bring it in bounds.
This is the time and a half where the favorite sometimes gets into a wall thinking, well, we got this game taken care of. But you're not when you turn over to basketball.
Good hustle back transition defense by the Tigers.
And a little more energy now from the Tigers. I was bragging on the fact that they were just playing through and not getting affected by the double-digit deficit. Now they're not just playing, they're excited.
Hall catches his breath.
Set play call here.
Trying to use his quickness against Nino Williams, and that one just crawls off. Pearson trying to tie up Williams, and he had to foul.
That play was set up for Pearson to follow.
Well, I don't know where Pearson was in the first half, but his aggressiveness here off the bench has made a difference.
See, the drives and the curves that he knows coming from behind is Pearson, who has been so hot that you'd think he'd get the roll there, but it fell off the rim, and he's had so much success just going and grabbing the basketball that he got a little over-aggressive and fouled Nino Williams underneath the basket and has to go to the bench.
Well, actually, now I know why. He didn't play much in the first half. It was foul trouble. That's his 4th personal. So Nino's at the line to shoot a 1-and-1. He's got a team-high 12, make it 13. Second career double-double against Bradley the other night with 14 points and 12 boards. His season high 19 against Nebraska Omaha.
It's amazing watching the free throw shooting. The two guys that have looked the best at the line are Thomas Gibson and Nino Williams, both having shooting guard touch on their free throws.
Fenner on the inside dribble. Nowhere to go with it. And Gibson collects the loose ball.
Good slide and positioning by Wesley Iwundu.
Wesley to the rim is fouled.
This is the Wesley Iwundu we saw last year. Defense leading to confidence on the offensive end. He got in perfect defensive position the whole time against the drive, which forced a bad shot trying to shoot over him at 6'7". It's very hard for a smaller player. Then he went the other direction and was able to drive it all the way to the rim.
Wesley shooting 54% from the free throw line this year and misses the first here.
He walked through that free throw almost. Was in the lane by the time he hit the rim.
Second one's too strong, kicked out by Nino, and Thomas the quickest player to the ball.
Tap back by Nino Williams.
Javon Thomas throws it away.
Javon just making that too hard. Could have taken it. He's quick enough to take a dribble to the left, get both hands on the basketball, and deliver the pass on time. Instead, he reaches way around and tries a one-handed, left-handed pass, turns it over.
Savannah State doesn't have much size, but they do have quickness.
Their scoring normally comes from the defensive end. Multitude of defenses, but they're driving the basketball fairly well today.
Way too strong. Pinkett beats Javon to the ball. And the shot clock should not have reset. Mark Whitehead's going to fix that here as he heads over to the scorer's table.
Good hustle getting to the basketball. They're going to set the clock at 12. It should have been even 10. Less than that. Should have about 8.
Sadiq Muhammad with a nice step through, but too hard off the glass. Rebounded by Williams, and now Foster. I don't think there was a center last year in Wichita against Gonzaga. Has really been the turning point for a slow starting K-State team. And we'll see if it happens again perhaps this year.
Yeah, it's been that way for a while for the Wildcats. Nice to be back to Sprint Center after last year taking a break from going to Kansas City at that time of the year. But what a great win over Florida 2 seasons ago in Bruce Weber's first year. It was really the coming out party for Bruce Weber and K-State basketball. That connection, 2 straight NCAA tournaments, but it really started with that game against Florida.
Nino Williams with the mid-range jumper has 16. His season high 19 against Nebraska Omaha. Pinkett rebounded by Williams. Nino's got 7 boards to go with the 16 points.
Maybe going to put together double-doubles 2 straight games if he continues at this pace. He's had 1 game over 20 points in his career.
Thomas turns the corner. Count it, and the foul. Javon Thomas with a nice finish on the high pick from Gibson.
Now it's the Wildcats who see the right lane line open. Then the burst through.
Good to see Javon finish a layup there.
Yeah, absolutely. He just had a challenge getting the ball to go with consistency, and that time he got bumped hard. The defense didn't rotate enough, and he's able to finish and get a chance for an old-fashioned three-point play.
And knocks it down. 7 for Javon. And the lead's back to 14, matching the biggest lead of the day.
The last time K-State got a 14-point lead, Savannah State went on an 8-0 run. So K-State's worked their way back through that surge of Tiger play. This has a look of a lineup that could be expected to be the starting lineup when you begin the year.
Gibson. Foster tumbles to the ground. Hopefully he's okay, and he is, but a foul on Muhammad.
Yeah, seen too many minutes of this 5 playing together on the court. But we were talking in the offseason and early fall. What do you think about K-State's starting lineup? This is one of the groups I would have guessed. Might have put Nigel Johnson in there. Javon Thomas or Nigel Johnson.
So that'll be the part of the challenge over the next 20 days is figuring out, what are the rotations? K-State has so much depth. And, maybe perhaps some of that's led to this 5-4 start, and a couple of disappointing losses is just taking some time to figure out, what are the best rotations out there for Kansas State as Foster hits the free throw, and this can put him into double figures, and does.
And finding out what role you need to play. I mean, a player who just went on the court, Malik Harris, could really be a contributor, but how would you define his contribution? When your basketball team's playing well, almost every fan that follows a team could do a pretty good job in 2 or 3 sentences being darn close to what the coach wants from them. I mean, that's how easy it is to see when everyone's doing what they're supposed to do.
Nice inbounds play. Javon Thomas with the block, but had to foul to do it. Let's look at K-State in its 5 wins compared to 4 losses, and the points per game just jumps off the page.
Yeah, when it's clicked, the Wildcats have scored a lot. Last year it was hard to get to 80 points. This year, already 4 games of 80-plus points. Field goal percentage, 3-point shooting, everything worked on the offensive end in those games. But in the losses, not so much. There's not the consistency that you've seen. I wouldn't say Bruce Weber's ball clubs in the first 2 years as the Wildcats head man were inconsistent. But that's what we're seeing with this team so far.
K-State still leads the Big 12 in 3-point percentage as a team at just over 40%. Today, right at that number, 4 of 10. Good passing here. Wesley into Gibson with the right hand. Can't roll it home, but he'll shoot free throws.
That looked like an experienced group breaking the half-court trap. You wouldn't have drawn it up where Marcus Foster picked up the basketball right across half-court. That's not what you want. But from there, pass to a nice opportunity to score the basketball before the defense could get back to the baseline. Veterans playing with each other, knowing where each player is going to be, why they're there, helps a lot.
5 for Gibson. And a 16-point edge.
That's where Thomas Gibson in the ball game really helps K-State. He understands the defensive philosophies. He's able to help with others who are driving toward the basket.
Hall leans in, yes, and the reach in on Javon Thomas. I've been impressed with Terrell Hall. His ability and craftiness for Horace Broadnax has been significant here today.
That is a tough shot right there. But jumping into the air, mistake by Javon Thomas, didn't stay square, and then Hall made him pay, jumping in toward the free throw line and throwing it in.
He had a season-high 24 against Jacksonville State, but then went scoreless in the next 2 games against Indiana and Miami. But he's broken out of the slump against Kansas State, has 12 to lead all scorers for Savannah State.
It's got to be fun for a guy can play that point guard position to learn from a guy who played point guard for a national championship team at Georgetown, his head coach.
Lob to Wesley, a bit too high.
Marcus Foster again has good recognition, delivered the ball. Wesley just not able to corral the ball on his fingertips.
Wandu with the steal. And he'll bring it up. That would have been Foster's 7th assist, just off the fingertips of Wandu. K-State trying to get something set up here. So he looks to the sideline. Here comes the high pick. And a deep three from Marcus Foster.
You want to know why K-State's got the best three-point shooting percentage in the Big 12? It's because of that guy right there. By far the most 3 attempts and makes, and hitting almost 50% of his threes this year.
Second triple of the ball game and 33rd of the year.
Screen, a little dribble to the left, and good follow through. Not a 3-2 zone, a 2-3 zone for Savannah State.
Great offense against the zone, and Nino Williams the recipient.
See what Wesley Wandu gives you. He made the pass flashing to the free throw line like he was a big, but he really wasn't a big. He just had worked his way in there. It was Nino who was the big who cut in as a secondary guy. Almost in volleyball, you see them when they set and guys jump up, or ladies, and then one fakes and the next one spikes it. You didn't know I watch a lot of volleyball.
Good analogy. I follow you.
Williams sneaking in for the easy shot.
Shot clock a factor here, and Fenner unable to get it off. So K-State finally putting the hammer down here. Rockets are shooting 73% in the second half, 11 of 15. For the game now up to 58.
It goes back to the games that they win. The shooting has been excellent. They've got 4 games already where they shot 50% or more this season, and look like they're well on the way to having a 5th.
Here comes Foster off the screen. Great post by Gibson, who just owned Pearson for the lay-in.
Marcus Foster, nice pass. Gibson had perfect position on that play call. Marcus Foster's done a nice job of delivering the ball accurately and not wasting any time, knowing where he wanted to go with the ball all day.
Foster the steal. On the run with Williams. Nino can tie his career high. Got it blocked. He'll have to earn it at the free throw line. His career high last year at Baylor with 20. Here's the first half to second half number. So this was coming into today, and K-State was right at 30 in the first half. They've got 36 in the second half and working on that. And as I just mentioned, from the field now about, well, they're 12 of 16. They're at 75% from the floor in the second half.
And doing it with a lot of assists. Good passing in the second half.
And Nino's matched his career high. So a double-double against Bradley, followed up by a career high tying 20 points and 7 rebounds against Savannah State. All with a nice pull-up. Continues to impress. 14 to lead Savannah State.
With 10 minutes left, time where the favorite oftentimes thinks they have the game. Well, Savannah State made the push, but right after that, K-State responded well, and now they have separated like you would expect them to.
Foster regathers. And back to Nigel Johnson, who awaits a pick from Gibson.
It's kind of a snap of the fingers, 20-point lead.
Pick and roll. Gibson fights his way through the defense, counted in the foul. This is how you shoot better than 75% in a half.
Get the angle, get to the rim. Good crisp passing in the second half. to get the ball inside to those positions.
K-State with 19 assists on 23 field goals. That's back to what we saw early on. Those first couple of ball games where K-State was scoring over 90.
If they can get to 20 assists today, Ben, it would be the third time this year. Only 5 times did they have 20 or more assists in a game all of last season. Rolleder back in the game, played more minutes in today's game than he has in any individual game of his career. He was off the bench right away. Set the tone defensively.
Yep, gave K-State some needed energy on a late Sunday afternoon game where you're never going to get a real big crowd. And Rolleder got the fans that were here excited for sure with those 3 consecutive charges drawn.
Brandon Bolden has the basketball right where he should rebound it, but lost the ball out of bounds. A couple times we've seen it fall off his fingertips today.
Johnson somehow able to strip that, and the Tigers will reset. Ball looking for the drive on Rolleder. Into the hands of Pinkett. Carries it like a running back to the bucket, counted in the foul. So the rotations, though, and the interior defense stands still need to be cleaned up for Kansas State. I mean, you look at the score here. Savannah State's only got 51 points. And the last couple of games for K-State defensively, well, the last 3, they've held opponents to 66, 65, 47. They've given up 51 today. All good numbers, and yet they're still giving up way too many easy buckets inside,
which allows Savannah State to shoot a much better percentage than when you watch the game. It seems like they should. And the other thing is, as we see here right now, Savannah State has as many points in the paint as the Wildcats. It's because of the second half driving to the basket. The on-ball defense has got to be slightly better. But with the rules the way they are, you got to be careful not to bump people driving. So it has to be the help side defense that flashes and stops the offense from driving. And K-State has not done that very well in the second half.
Fade screen for a one-do. Bolden trying to work his way in. Missed everything and out of bounds to K-State with 6 on the shot clock.
Frustrated there because he had a good offensive move, got to his right hand right in front of the rim and somehow had it slide off and not hit the rim. Shot clock at 6.
Nigel Johnson got it back after the block. Nigel Johnson quick off the floor. Nine different Wildcats have scored as Fenner has to drive it in against Sean Meyer. Gets his miss back. Hall fading away, able to hit. Terrell Hall, 17. He has played well today. Cats up by 20. And see if they'll just hold it here. Terrell Hall isn't giving up, though. Pinkett runs it down. Meyer the steal in the corner. That ought to allow them to slow it down. The K-State pulling.